I can't hear you.
No, sorry, it's my son.
Okay.
No, it's not coming in, Brian. Good evening, my friends. This is Robert Sidell speaking. It's a great pleasure to be with you here on this Sunday evening, and I'm looking forward to. Uh, I'm, I'm sorry. Just we're trying to get a couple little things set up here. On trying to we'll make sure we're going to be simulcasting on Facebook too. We want to make sure that's going to work also,
Okay.
and which it should be in just a second. But it's a great pleasure to be here with you, my friends. Um, it's a good pleasure to be alive, right? That's always a good starting place, right? Right, George?
Yeah.
Hold on just a second. No luck, eh? Well, I'm going to keep talking while he's trying to straighten that out. Um, let's see. We do when we do this, we do several different things simultaneously. So it goes out over the radio, so people are listening to us on the radio, and then it also simulcasts on Facebook. But so he's just checking the features on that right now. But anyway, my friends, it is a pleasure to be here on this Sunday evening, and it's an exciting time to be alive. Really, that's the real truth of it all. Um, and that's um, what do you think? Just keep going. Okay, I'll just keep going. Sorry. Um, so tonight, my friends, I'm very excited. I'm going to have I have right now George Chanos here with us, and he's an interesting person. Um, I didn't realize you considered yourself, but I like the term. I love it actually. You call yourself a futurist, right?
Other people call me a futurist.
Oh, okay. Well, I think it's fun anyway. Whoever came up with the idea. Actually, it's kind of fun. I went to Grok and said, "Give me a background on you," and he did a nice little summary. It was kind of neat. I don't know if you've ever taken a look. Okay, now we're going live. Is it working now, Brian?
Did Grok call me a futurist?
It did, yeah, it did.
Yeah.
I corrected him. I said, "No, that's a mistake." No, I'm just teasing.
Yeah.
But no, it's interesting. This I'm I, just this week. Like I said, I'm up in this. I happen to be out of town right now, and I was just telling you, and for those of my listeners, and uh, I've been in this little house. I'm sitting at a table that I used to sit at when I was 14 years old and play various different games with my family. But it's interesting. Sitting here thinking to myself, so here I am in the same table, the same space, but the world is changing so dramatically. I mean, it's like, um, and you and I talked before, and I've heard you also give talks on this topic, and people, uh, George is kind of plugged in, I'd say, a little bit more than some are. Just the idea that we are suddenly we just. By the way, I'll give you an analogy. Did you ever used to watch Star Trek at all? If you ever watched Star Trek: The Next Generation, did you ever watch that, George?
Sure.
You did.
Sure.
Remember when they would go to warp speed?
Yeah.
We're entering into warp speed now in our country. I mean, our world. Wouldn't you say?
Yeah, beyond that.
Did you hear that, my friends? Beyond warp speed. For those of you who don't know, warp speed in Star Trek was like they'd be going along fast, and then suddenly move to another dimension almost, and just zoom away. And you're saying we're faster than that? We're moving faster than that, eh?
I'm saying that what's coming will dwarf anything that you've previously experienced.
Um,
The speed of change will be faster than whatever it is that you're expecting, and the magnitude of change will be more significant than whatever it is most people are expecting.
wow, I'm just digesting that a little bit. Well, what you're saying is something pretty similar to what Elon Musk says. Did you watch his talk on the new version of Grok? Did you see anything about that this week?
No,
Oh, okay.
I didn't see his talk.
Yeah, it's fun. I mean, I don't want to. I'm going to leave politics out of this completely at the moment. But I do think, strangely enough, I think him maybe separating himself a little bit from what's going on back in D.C. was a good thing. Seems like he's getting back more to his normal stuff, which I think is probably a good thing. There may be other questions, may or may not be so good, but that's a different issue. But I think that, but he's definitely he was just sitting there talking. He goes, this is what he said. I believe it. I wish this message was broadcast more. He goes, "This is the most exciting time to be alive in human history."
Yeah, there's no question. It's the most extraordinary period in human history.
It's weird though, George, and I don't know how I'm on this journey of trying to be compassionate, trying to open my heart up to new possibilities, and I just I heard that comment from him. I'm hearing it from you, but I also see young kids posting on online and social media and everything's talking about it's the worst time, you know. And the sad part about it is, I know they believe it, but they don't really understand what it was really like before. Is the problem? So they're somehow comparing reality to something they've seen on TV or TikTok or something like that. That's my interpretation. I don't know what it.
Well, first of all, they lack perspective because they haven't been around as long. And then secondly, the life for them is very different than life for you or for me,
Mm-hmm.
right? So, and when we talk about something being the most extraordinary period in human history, it doesn't necessarily mean it's the best period in human history. It just means it's unparalleled in its significance. So, right
By the way,
now,
George, somebody named Linda Baker says she used to go to school with you in '77 to '81 back at UNLV. Anyway, I just thought I bet she just posted something on here.
okay, well, that's great. Hi, Linda. Nice to, thanks for stopping in.
um,
Um,
but yeah, go
yeah,
ahead.
so I mean, let me add some context to this because we're talking about, the period that we're living in as being the most extraordinary period in human history, and people have to be thinking why, right? So let's back it up a little bit and give some context. In 2014, theoretical physicist Stephen Hawking, who is the Einstein of our era, said that the singularity, that moment in time when machine intelligence would eclipse human intelligence, would be the greatest event in human history, greater than fire, greater than the wheel, greater than anything that humanity has ever experienced. Ray Kurzweil, the head of artificial intelligence for Google, the guy that Bill Gates says knows more about artificial intelligence than anyone he knows, Kurzweil has been tracked since the 1980s in his predictions, and he's been right 86% of the time, according to those who've been tracking him. Kurzweil
Mm-hmm.
says that that singularity, that moment in time that Hawking was talking about, would come as early as 2029. Elon Musk, who you mentioned earlier, believes that it will come sooner. So the greatest event, so let's begin with that. The greatest event in human history, greater than fire, greater than the wheel, greater than the internet, greater than space travel, greater than anything that we've experienced, will come by the end of this decade. That's the first thing you need to know. The
By the way,
second,
I want to interrupt you 1 second, just in case somebody didn't. We're hearing about that event. I'm not sure people tell them what that singularity is, so they understand what you're talking
singularity
about.
is that moment in time when machine intelligence will eclipse human intelligence, when machines will be smarter and more capable than any human being. Okay.
By the way,
So,
no, just go ahead. Never mind. Go ahead.
yeah. So Ray Kurzweil goes on to say that by the 2040s, which is 20 years away, that artificial intelligence will not be our equal. We will have moved well past the singularity where it is
Uh-huh.
our equal. And artificial intelligence will be, according to Kurzweil, one of the greatest minds in the country or the world regarding AI. He says that by the 2040s, artificial intelligence will be a billion times more capable than human intelligence. A billion with a B. Okay. So my argument is that the human brain lacks the capacity to even fathom what that means. So when I tell you that it's going to be faster than you realize and bigger than you realize, you couldn't possibly realize how big it's going to be. I can't, Kurzweil can't, Musk can't, and you can't. So, it's what we do know is that it's going to be tectonic. It's going to be seismic. It's going to touch every area of human endeavor, and it's going to be much more significant than anything any of us not only have ever experienced, but arguably bigger than anything that any of us can comprehend. So that's the period that we're living in. And that's why it's rightly called the most extraordinary period in human history. Regardless of what young people may think about it, it is the most dramatic and the most consequential period in human history. Now, Whether it's the best period in human history is something that is going to play out over the next 5, 10, 15, and 20 years. And there are basically two significant scenarios. One is that we learn how to drive this Ferrari, right? We learn how to use this technology, that we develop the emotional intelligence to keep pace with our our general intelligence, and we learn how to leverage this technology to create what could be a second enlightenment or a near utopian existence where we're able to feed the world's population, clothe them, educate them, house them, where, Elon Musk is building robots for everyone, right? But these are physical robots. Imagine a holographic genie, if you will, or robot, if you will, that, levitates in front of you, and it's digital, so we can create billions of them. Everyone can have one.
Right.
And it can answer anything, any question that you can ask. So it will have all of the world's knowledge, and all you'll have to do is think of the question. You won't even have to enunciate it or articulate it. You just think of the question, and the answer will come to you instantaneously. Kurzweil predicts that this will happen by the 2040s. He predicts that we'll have nanobots pulsing through our bloodstream, curing all of our diseases, right? He predicts that we'll have a hive mentality, that everything that you know, I'll know, and everything I know, you'll know. He predicts that we'll be able to read each other's thoughts. So these are the things that Kurzweil says is coming. It's not me that's predicting all of these things. I'm just telling you what I've read from the people that are at the cutting edge of this technology. Now, it's not that others don't disagree with him. There is disagreement within the artificial intelligence and scientific community. Some people still believe that we will never reach general AI, right? And then
Hold your thought. We're gonna go to a break. I want to keep talking with you on Facebook, but for those of you on the radio, I'm talking to George Chanos. He's talking about really it's unbelievably exciting and profound topic. He's talking about the development of super intelligence. Really is what we're talking about. But anyway, we're gonna go to a break. We'll be back in just 3 minutes. But for those of you on Facebook, stay with us, and we'll keep the conversation going. This is Robert Sidell, the Gateway Show.
So Facebook is still watching?
Correct. Facebook is watching still.
Okay. So should we keep
Yeah, no, I
discussing?
think we can keep going. Yes.
Okay. So there is some, disagreement. Not everyone is in complete alignment on these issues. There are some scientists who, are disbelievers, and they basically say that we're so far away that they can't envision us ever reaching general AI. Well, you have to decide who you believe. Musk believes it may come before 2029. So who knows more? The guy who's, the minor AI scientist, sitting at some company that you've never heard of, or the guy who's the leading AI scientist for Google, and guys like Elon Musk who are telling us that this is coming in the next 5 years.
Well,
And
by the way, go ahead. All right, go keep.
guys like Sam Altman, at OpenAI. I think that you've got to, if I'm going to bet, I'm going to put my money on the guys who are at the top of their game, right? The guys who are leading the world in this industry.
Well, you
And
know what? This is my worldview now. The people that are naysayers are kind of I have a little section in my book about this, but they're the same people around 1890 to 1900 were saying if man was meant to fly, he would have wings. I mean,
yeah, yeah, or the world was, flat.
or the world was flat. Exactly.
Yeah,
I have a whole series of things I collected together in my book about all these things that well-known and famous people said that were completely wrong
yeah,
in their limitation. And like
yeah,
one of my favorites, by the way, is the guy who's the founder of the the major radio TV station, RC, what is it called? But anyway, it doesn't matter. But he came out and said there's absolutely no market for people listening to something going out to nobody in particular, which is all
Yeah.
TV and radio, right? But that made
Yeah.
sense to them back then, but it's totally wrong. So you can't. These people are intelligent, but they don't get the big picture, right? That's what you're kind of
Yeah.
saying.
Yeah. Yeah. So there are a lot of very, very smart people, people that went to Harvard and Yale and Stanford and Carnegie Mellon, and they're scientists and they're PhDs and they're very opinionated and they think they know the answers. But many of these people are, let's put it the other way. Few of these people are visionaries. And people like Kurzweil and Hawking and Musk are visionaries. And there's a difference. And the guys who create these things are the visionaries, right? Henry Ford said that if you think you can, whether you think you can or you think you can't, you're right. If you
I like
think
that.
if you think you can, you're the guy who gets it done. And if you think you can't, you're right. You're not going to get it done. You're not the guy, you know? So I discount the naysayers. I'm with the visionaries.
Well, I'll give you a small example from my own life. I drive a Tesla, and when I first got the car, the exact same physical car, I literally the only self-driving it had at all is I could put it in basically almost like just cruise control, and it would maintain the lane, but it couldn't stop at lights or anything like that. That's what it was for the first couple of years. Now I can get in my car and say I want to go to the barber shop. And by the way, this is even a little scarier. Let's say I've gone. There's a certain church I like to go to on Saturday afternoons. When I get in my car, it already has the location of the church logged up and set up to go for me already, with no
Yeah,
planning. And so when
yeah,
I get in the car, just say navigate, and it will take you all the way down, get you on the freeway, get you off the freeway, drive you through, stop you at the lights, drive you right into the parking lot. And
yeah,
and by the way, their newest cars have a computer level one more than mine. Who just everybody who has the older ones are waiting to see if they're going to try to do some sort of retrofit for us. But the bottom line
yeah,
is, but the point is that didn't seem possible.
yeah,
The interesting thing about it's the same car, same physical car. They
yeah.
just send these over the air, basically upgrades to intelligence, right?
Right. Robert, what would happen if I teleported back to 1969 and into the offices of NASA, right?
Right, right.
And I came into a room at NASA filled with computers, and these guys were manning these computers to put a man on the moon, right? And I come into that room and
Right.
I say, "Wow, you guys have a lot of computers. I've got this little thing, and it has 100,000 times the computing power of everything in your room, 100,000 times. And my daughter has one. In fact, my granddaughter has one, right? They would have put me in an asylum,
That's probably true.
right?
Yeah.
And
Is that
and
actually right?
what?
It's 100 times, 100,000 times more powerful.
Yeah. And what are we talking about? We're talking about 60 years ago, right? Essentially, right? Say
Hey,
1970,
I'm a little bit older than you, and I know exactly where I
1970 to
was in 1960 or 1970s when I graduated from high school.
yeah,
So,
so it's not even 60 years ago. And they would have thought that I was absolutely batshit crazy, right?
right,
So
true.
so computing power, Gordon Moore of Intel said that computing power would double, or actually, yeah, it would double every 18 months, and it would halve in cost every 18 months. And this has happened reliably for the past 50 plus years. It's called Moore's Law. Okay.
Uh-huh.
Computing power over the last 50 years has doubled every 18 months like clockwork. And it's split the cost in half of what it cost you the 18 months before to buy that computer. So now we're looking at AI, we're looking at ChatGPT. And you look at, let's say, ChatGPT 3.5, and you look at ChatGPT 4, right?
Right.
And it wasn't 18 months between the release of 3.5 and 4, it was less than 6 months. And in less than 6 months, the power of ChatGPT 4 was probably 10x what the power of ChatGPT 3.5 was, at least 10x. Now, have you asked yourself why we haven't seen a ChatGPT 5?
Why? Why haven't we?
Okay. It's not that they don't have one that is 10 times or 100 times or 1,000 times more powerful. They had one probably that's 100 or 1,000 times more powerful, probably many months ago. And the reason that I believe this is that the CEO for Microsoft was quoted as saying, we're being, quote, very judicious about what we're releasing to the public. So the
Interesting.
reason we haven't seen it is because we can't handle it. Okay? It's too powerful for us to handle. So they're dumbing it down. They're putting in guardrails. They're doing whatever they need to do so that some asshole doesn't go out and create a bomb with it or do something else that's malicious and damaging to humanity. So the technology, this is the difference. This is the magnitude of the difference, is computing power doubles every 18 months. AI doesn't double every 18 months. AI will go from a 10x to 100x to 1,000x over time, and that time window will continue to shrink. So what it takes to go to 100x might be a couple of months. What it takes to go to 1,000x might be a couple of weeks. And what it takes to go to 1,000,000x might be a matter of days. Ultimately, those time frames will shrink and shrink and shrink, especially once we reach the singularity. Once we reach true general AI, there will be what's called an intelligence explosion. And what will happen is that the first country to reach general AI, their AI will take off on a learning curve like a rocket ship, and it will leave everyone else's AI in the dust. And so when you look at the change that's occurring, it's because we have dueling Manhattan projects that are not being announced, that are not being
Interesting.
publicized,
Huh.
but we have dueling Manhattan projects that are currently underway between the United States and China, where they are racing towards the singularity because they want to be the first to cross that finish line so that they experience the intelligence explosion, leaving number 2 in the dust. Vladimir Putin in 2017 said, he who controls artificial intelligence will control the world because they will be able to subjugate all other governments. Okay, so that's what's going on right now. That's why you see what you see. That's why we're in Ukraine. That underscores the threat of China invading Taiwan. That is part of why we're seeing Iran attack Israel and the trouble that we've had in Gaza and on October 7th. All of this is related to this competition for a unipolar world where either China or the United States right now are the leading contenders to lead a unipolar world by reaching the singularity first. And that's what's going on. Now, that's going to happen and unfold with a finish line probably by 2029, maybe earlier, maybe 2027. And so the period between now and then is going to get more and more disruptive, more and more quickly, and more disruptive as we get closer and closer to that finish line. Why? Because number 2 is not going to go quietly. If you believe that you're number 2 and you believe that number 1 has the ability to become the leader of a unipolar world, are you going to go quietly into that good night? Or are you going to potentially try to change the game? Are you going to potentially go to war? What are we going to experience as we race towards the singularity? I believe it will be massive disruption as we race towards the singularity. I don't believe number two is going to go quietly.
That's it. Very, very, very. I'm trying. I'm absorbing what you're saying. Um,
Maybe that's why I'm being called a futurist.
it probably is. I think that's something
Yeah.
to do with it. Actually, you want to know your ability to clearly articulate this is, I would call it a special gift. You're able to kind of put it together in a clear, concise way. Um, Elon Musk, well, yeah, like I said, if you watched his discussion of Grok 4 that came out this week, which is his Tesla's AI, according
Right.
to most benchmarks right now, that's what they're saying anyway, it's the most powerful one out there now. And if you, but there's a basic version you could get, and then they call it the heavy version or something, which you have to pay per month for, and actually not that cheap per month either. So you'd really have to have a real reason to use it. But I don't have the problem with my brain at the moment is I I don't really know the things it can do. I don't really have a real sense of. I mean, I'm starting to get a little bit of an inkling of it. You know, my son yesterday wanted to figure out a way to take some of my tax information to put it into QuickBooks, and so he spent the day working on AI, and it just suddenly automated the whole thing. um, so AI now, for those of you, some of you may know this, some of you may not. It will do actually programming and everything else, right? I mean, you probably
Yeah. Yeah. You don't need to code anymore.
so that's an interesting story. You know what it really tells you is that we are on the edge of that which we do not really know, right? I mean, we don't really know. Um, eh, well, cars, I'll tell you, my business, personal injuries, so I've been doing for a long, long time now. Um, Cars, once you, if you ever drive a Tesla, they are actually safer in general. Their statistics actually back that up when people are using self-driving. And when that keeps getting pushed better and better, accidents are going to become mostly a thing of the past.
Yeah, I mean, we'd be much safer if all of these were AI driven vehicles. Once it's perfected, think about the delays in traffic right now. You have people starting and stopping. You have people
Yeah.
changing lanes. You have people, some good drivers, some bad drivers, some getting into accidents, right?
Hold
If
on one
ever,
second. We're going to have to go to break. I want the conversation to go on, though. This is Robert Sidell. It's the Gateway Show. I'm interviewing George Chanos. We're talking about the changes that are on the way that are being born right now in the artificial intelligence or just super intelligence world. And so we'll be back in just a few minutes. For those of you on the radio, for those of you on Facebook, stay with us. We'll keep the conversation going. So, yeah, it is funny because it's so let's just take personal injury attorneys. Um, Now that, well, I'll tell you what's going to slow it down a little bit is that um, even if, I mean, if every car today had even the AI the Teslas have, it would probably dramatically reduce accidents. But the vast majority of cars don't. And the question is how, and then it's going to get better and better, right? And so the question is how long is it going to take to upgrade the fleet, as I like to call it? You know, that might be an example where as a society it would be worth putting some incentives in place to upgrade, right?
yeah,
If we all were a lot safer, it's funny we get used to, or maybe we don't really get used to it, living with the risk of bad accidents,
yeah,
and I I deal with some of them are very very serious, all the way including fatalities. And if
yeah.
we could suddenly flip a switch 6 months or a year from now and start to make it so the accidents were reduced by 90%, forgetting that the world of us personal injury attorneys, um, the bottom line is it would be nicer for the world not to have all those accidents.
Yeah, well, we get used to a lot of things, Robert. We get used to a dysfunctional government. We get used to crime. We get used to fraud. We get used to a lot of things that we shouldn't be getting used to.
You know, right? I'm totally with you on that. And uh,
Perhaps we all need to be a little bit more demanding and raise our expectations of what's possible. For example, we have elections that some have claimed have been compromised, right?
right,
Whether or not they have, we know we have millions of dead people on voter rolls. We know that. right?
Right.
We know that there were over 1,000 incidences of election fraud that were documented and prosecuted. So we know it exists, right? It's the issue was when Trump makes a claim like, the election was stolen. It's probably it's certainly not a claim that he can prove. There's no evidence of an outcome determinative failure of the election system, but there is evidence of failures in the election system. Now, we have blockchain technology today, fully encrypted blockchain technology that we could be running our elections on. We could eliminate not only election fraud, we could eliminate identity theft, right? So we have the tools. We have the tools
Uh-huh.
already in existence to create a much better world, and we're not using them. Why is that? Right? You wonder why cars aren't a certain way to prevent more accidents. Why aren't we reforming our elections? Why aren't we reforming our political system? Why do we still have money in politics? We don't need money in politics. We could have publicly funded elections by everyone in the country agreeing that $50 off their tax return goes to fund, presidential elections. Then we take money out of politics. There are
Hold
many
on just a
things.
second. I think we're just going. Are we? Oh, and are we going back on the air now again? Okay. Let me just say, my friends, this is the Gateway Show. We're back from the break. I'm having a very fascinating conversation with George Chanos. Actually, I think it's a conversation that most people still haven't really heard before. I mean, it's out there. I mean, Elon Musk is talking like sort of the same things. I actually think you're probably more articulate than Elon Musk is, and I really like Elon Musk, but he has a hard time expressing some of these different things like this.
Yeah.
And
I have the things that we've just talked about, I haven't heard anyone talk about.
yeah,
So,
you're kind of putting it together in one one talk, so to speak.
yeah,
I which
yeah,
yeah, it's out there. I mean, well, he was what he was saying in his this thing. Maybe it'd be worth it to you. Like I said, I saw one summation of it. It was about 14 minutes, but or maybe it's a little longer than that, 19 minutes. But the whole thing is an hour. I think you would enjoy it. But he basically says, he thinks that his particular grok, which is his form of AI, artificial intelligence. But by the end of but he says maybe by the second half of this year, but by the end of next year for sure, whole new technologies will be invented. He said.
oh yeah,
And yeah, that was
yeah,
you're right there. And a lot of people know. And of course, I'm just listening because, well, it's funny. I was talking to my good friends about this. Just an illustration of the point here. Okay. Here's the phone you were talking about. Whoops, gotta get close there. I was not picking it up right. But anyway, we're carrying around these powerful tools, right? But do we really have any understanding how they work? I mean, I couldn't reproduce any of it. Um, you know,
yeah,
I couldn't reproduce one thing. I just have this little machine and it does all this magical stuff.
yeah. So that's a good illustration of the fundamental challenge that we have ahead of us, which is that let's say that Kurzweil is correct, and let's say that we have an all-knowing entity in the cloud that all you have to do is think of a question and the answer will come to you instantaneously. An all-knowing AI.
No, no, I get it.
So
Yeah.
you won't have to use your phone. You won't have to have any knowledge. This is a fascinating point. Right now, throughout from the dawn of time through today, knowledge has been, incredibly important. People, the kings and the queens and the church and the aristocracy, they had access to books before anyone, and they became, the knowledgeable class. It wasn't until the Enlightenment that those learning tools were expanded to the general population. For years, the Bible was only available in Latin. If you don't read Latin, you didn't know what was in the Bible. So knowledge was essentially critical. In the future, knowledge is going to be relatively unimportant. And the reason for that is that knowledge will be ubiquitous and it will be accessible to everyone. it will be in the cloud. And all you'll have to do is think of the question that you want answered, and the answer will come to you instantaneously if Kurzweil is correct. Now, what does that mean? What is the skill set that you need to have? It's not a 4-year degree in engineering. It's not knowledge. It's intelligence. Intelligence is the ability to know what question to ask and how to ask the question. When your son, as you described earlier, was trying to migrate your tax information from
Right.
one situation to another,
Uh-huh.
right? One platform to another, he had to prompt AI. He had to
Right.
write a request that the AI then acted upon. And it was the way that he formulated the prompt, the way that he formulated the queries, that made all the difference in the world between success and failure. If he would have asked it the wrong questions, or if he would have asked it the wrong way, it would not have performed as it did. So it was his intelligence in being able to formulate the correct prompt for the AI that allowed it to do what it is that he wanted it to do. So the moral of that story is teach your children not to gather knowledge and become, these learned, knowledgeable creatures, but instead teach them how to think, teach them how to ask questions, teach them to be curious, teach them to be creative, teach them to be able to think outside the box and to formulate the right questions. There are what they call prompt engineers or AI whisperers that are in their 20s that are making $500,000 because they know how to ask the right questions. So
Interesting.
this is the skill set of the 21st century. It's one of them. The other skill sets will be things like empathy that machines can't do. What is it that machines, you have to, there are two different ways to go in the future. One is to dance with machines, learn how to use them, learn how to interact with them, and learn how to get the most out of them. Become a prompt engineer or become an AI whisperer and learn how to leverage the power of technology. That's one way to go. The other way to go is do what machines can't do, right? There are things that are essentially human. They'll always be human, and only humans will be able to do them, no matter how powerful the machine becomes. One of those things might be to obtain the trust of other humans, or to lead other humans, or to comfort and console other humans, right? So someone with empathy, someone with collaboration skills, someone with leadership skills. These will be essential skills in the 21st century. So you have to think of things in these terms in preparing yourself for what's coming,
By
right?
the way, I
If
got to
you
tell you a couple of things people have posted here just in the last few seconds. One of my Hey Jonelle, how are you doing? One of my friends who's a nurse practitioner, she says medicine can be in trouble, and then she just posted that. And my other friend Ernie, who'll be on a little bit later after the next break, he says our educators and teachers are going to be out of a job in a few years due to AI. Um,
Yes, so they're both right. So first of all, lawyers and doctors will be replaced by AI. But nurses may have a future. Japan has robotic nurses, but still,
they do. They have. I haven't seen that. They've got
oh
actual
yeah,
robotic.
they have robotic nurses,
Wow.
and they've had them for years. But the skills of a human nurse that can empathize, that can touch, that can, console someone are always going to be in demand. Doctors, for example, you go to a doctor or you go to a lawyer. The first doctors and lawyers that will be replaced are those that do not know how to leverage AI. In other words, lawyers who leverage AI will replace lawyers who don't. And doctors who leverage AI will replace doctors who don't. That's the first wave that we'll see. Then eventually, we'll get to a point where I'll look in my phone and it'll scan my iris and it
Right.
will tell me everything about my health, much more than a doctor could tell me. When I walk into a doctor's office, honestly, he doesn't know what the fuck's going on with me, right? So he does a bunch of blood tests and he tries to figure it out. And ultimately, he may be able to figure it out. But AI will get to the point where they will simply scan your retina, take your blood, take your pulse, and they'll know what exactly is going on in your body, or you'll scan your body in an MRI type machine, and they'll know everything they need to know exactly, and they'll be able to prescribe exactly what kind of treatment needs to be done to take care of you. So and lawyers, like today, you come into my office. I don't practice anymore, but if you came into my office years ago, I would charge you an exorbitant amount of money for an hour of my time, right?
Right.
And if you asked me certain questions like, what is the law on VAT taxes in Bulgaria? I couldn't tell you, right? I wouldn't have the foggiest idea.
Right.
But if you ask an AI lawyer, they'll be able to tell you, right? Grok will be able to tell you eventually. OpenAI will be able to tell you. And so why would you pay $1,000 an hour to go sit down in front of a lawyer like me when you could just ask an AI?
Yeah, it's I no, I get where you're coming from. And yeah, no, I'm hearing you. By the way, my friend that's a nurse says AI is missing fractures. Well, she probably is right because it's not
Oh, well,
perfect.
today it is.
Right.
Well, today it is. You can't talk about AI. When I'm talking about AI, I'm not talking about today. That's like talking about an infant. AI is in its infancy.
Hold
So
on
of
one
course
second.
it, it
We're going to go to break again, but hold on a second. My friends will be back in just a moment, having a fascinating conversation with George Chanos. And if you missed all this, by the way, this will be on YouTube later on or by tomorrow. Just go to Sidell and Gateway, and we'll have the same thing. I'll send you a link also to it. But we're going to go to break now, my friends. We'll be back in just a moment. Stay with us on Facebook too.
so when your friend says AI is missing fractures, she's 100% correct. And in the law, it's hallucinating. It's giving you
Yes.
inaccurate
Tell
cases.
people what
Right.
hallucinations are. I've heard about it. I mean, how that works, but
Yeah, so a hallucination is essentially a lie. It gives you back information that is inaccurate. It might give you a case citation that doesn't exist, or the case citation doesn't match what it says it matches. So there is some of this that is happening today, both in the medical profession, the legal profession, and every other area of human endeavor. But first of all, this is not true AI. These are large language models. This is the earliest iteration of what we're calling artificial intelligence. This isn't true AI. So it's not fair to say that the mistakes and the hallucinations and the things that are happening today are going to continue. They're not. They're going to continue for some period of time, and then they're going to work out all of those bugs, just like with self-driving vehicles and the example that you gave earlier. Every year, things are going to get better and better and better. And soon, this will not be measured in years. Soon, it will be every day things are getting better and better and better. And this will continue,
hmm.
and probably, we don't know that there will be any end to it. How far this can develop,
It's
you
pretty.
know?
It's a pretty amazing thing. I mean, I'm just soaking this all up. It's it is a very 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 exciting time to be alive, and the threatening part, and I'm sure this is where you're going to see fight back, just like at every other technological advance, is when people feel like their livelihood is threatened, and so there may be initially laws that try to stop people from using certain things or something.
Yeah, good luck with that, right? The horse and buggy drivers, didn't do so well with that. The taxi drivers didn't do so well with, prohibiting Uber, right? Change marches on. And here's the thing that you need to remember, right? there is a massive concentration of wealth in the world today, greater than we've seen in 100 years. The wealth disparity in the United States and around the world is greater than we have seen in 100 years. So 3 human beings control more wealth than the bottom 200 million Americans, right? So
Interesting.
Bernie Sanders is fond of quoting this. So and whether it's 3 or it's 10, it's a handful. A handful of men control more wealth than 200 million people. Okay. So these people that are at the top of the food chain, that are the wealthiest people in the world, they want this. They want AI. They want it to
Okay.
become all powerful.
By the way,
They
hold on one second. My friends are just getting back from the break, and we're in our final segment of the show. he, George was fascinating about talking. This is George Chanos, who's uh, I'll put it this way, a very intelligent young man. How's that sound? Do you like that idea? That sounds good, doesn't it? But you're very knowledgeable and intelligent, and which you're right. There's two differences, right? You could be very intelligent but not have a lot of knowledge in your head, and anyway, so he's been sharing with us just kind of a overall consensus, not consensus, wrong word for it, a summary of different things that we will on one level or another be confronting in our world, and it's going to be a lot of change for each of us, and um,
Just so
yeah,
you know,
yeah,
the 2029 prediction that Kurzweil has given
uh-huh.
is now what they call the San Francisco consensus.
Meaning that they agree with that idea.
There is largely agreement that we will reach the singularity by 2029.
Wow.
Yeah, no, it's I think it's exciting. I think it's very exciting. Well, it's unbelievably exciting actually. And it would be nice. I mean, we could resolve a lot of issues in our world. But yeah, we could talk. Well, we only have so much time, right? And we already, but
Let's just cover an important point.
okay,
An important point is that we are at a tipping point, poised between what could be a second enlightenment, where we create a world that is better than anything we've ever imagined. We have that potential. Technology will deliver that potential. But the tipping point is, do we go in that direction or do we tip in the opposite direction? And the opposite direction is a dystopian world where we have a decrease in our freedoms, greater level of surveillance and control, greater concentrations of wealth. And we don't know what that bad outcome could look like, right? It could look like all of the benefits of this immense technology are visited only upon the wealthy, right? And the rest of the population is left behind. We don't know. And we also don't know what happens if AI that becomes self-learning no longer values human beings, right?
right. That's the ultimate question, isn't it? That's
Or
what people are
sees
afraid
them
about.
as competition, sees them as competition for resources. For example, AI needs energy, it needs electricity, it needs power, and it's going to be voracious in devouring power to grow. And so it may say, that guy Robert Sidell, he's got that lamp on,
Right.
and he's taken away some of the power, right? Some of the electricity. And let's turn that off so we have more for us, right? So we don't know. We don't know.
There you go. That's probably about as good a place to kind of end this part of the conversation, my friends. George, but honestly, I really I hope that for any of you tuning in right now, this will be on YouTube tomorrow, or even maybe later tonight, and you can listen to it because there's a lot of content in here. You've packed a lot of content. If anybody wants to get a little bit of an idea, because you've also included a lot of references to real scientists, like how do you, Ray? What's
Ray
his
Kurzweil.
Kurzweil.
Yeah,
Kurzweil.
Ray Kurzweil at Google.
Yeah, and he's just one example. But so those of you that want to listen to this, please go to YouTube. Just type in the word Sidell and then Gateway, Gateway, and it'll pop you right up. You can watch this. and I'll also post it on Facebook too, so anybody can see it that way too. But all right, well, I need to. These kind people here, George, have made some preparations. Like they're very good friends of mine, and I'll let Ernie go first. Ernie is, by the way, almost 80 in about 2 weeks, right, Ernie?
Right. They started on August 15th.
That's
Right.
right. And he still teaches school, but he came from India. He was born in India, so he came from a different, 100% different reality than many of us could really understand. And so, but he's lived here as most of his whole adult life. But go ahead and share a prayer with us tonight, Ernie.
All right. Oh, thank you, George. No, thank you, Robert. And nice meeting you, George, on this,
Thank you,
on
Rudy.
Robert's network here. All right. The prayer is about navigating the future, changes in technology and monetaries, such as cryptocurrency and its impact on our lives. Dear Lord, thank you for this blessed day and for our adventurous life journey. We reach out to you now from faith within us and ask you to walk beside us, navigating the future changes in technology and monetary, such as cryptocurrency and its impact on our lives. We acknowledge that we are blessed with the divine strength, patience, experience, hope, and love. May we not lose courage, but by faith be led into the wonderful future ahead of us. Help us keep our faith strong through prayers and meditations and spreading your love through us, open to changes in our future and growth in technology. Assist and guide us to walk surrounded with grace and live our life in faith, changes in our societal technology and a monetary system, compassion, caring, rising up to a wonderful future, creating heaven on earth. And so it is. Amen.
Thank you so much, Ernie. George, that's a perfect spiritual complement to what you've been talking about, isn't it? What he was
Thank
just
you.
saying.
Thank you.
Good job, Ernie.
Yeah, you did. I'm glad.
Uh,
So, and so, Janet, what do you want to say? We're going to probably run out of time in a second, but just share.
Thank you, George, by the way, because I loved this whole thing. So I'm grateful I was able to be on tonight because I'm usually working. So I don't think I've been on for the last 2 weeks. And I so love everything you said. I read a book it was during the pandemic, written by two Chinese, they were Chinese, called AI 2043. And it talked about exactly what you said about being able to tell us what was wrong with our bodies. I don't know if you are familiar with the book, but there was there was like 11 chapters. There'd be a story, and then the second part would be them explaining what the technology was in the story that had happened.
yeah.
So anyway, so I had fun with this, and I didn't know exactly what he was going to be talking about, but I put in my chat GPT everything I wanted and created a poem. Okay, on a spiritual side, the grace to flow. The world is changing faster than I can name it, quieter than I expect it, louder than I'm ready for. Nothing stays still, not the wind, not the people I love, not even the version of myself I thought I'd become. And yet there is peace, not because everything is steady, but because I've stopped demanding that it be. The tree doesn't resist autumn. It lets the leaves fall, makes space for winter, trusts that spring will come again. I want to live like that, to welcome each season with an open hand, to stop clinging to what has already passed, to bless what is becoming. There was a time I thought peace meant perfection, getting it all right, avoiding mistakes, holding everything together. But now I know peace is something deeper. It's presence, it's grace. It's knowing that even when I falter, even when things fall apart, I am not forsaken. I am still held. God doesn't stand at the finish line waiting for me to catch up. He walks with me through the mess, through the questions, through the shifting ground beneath my feet. Every misstep is a doorway to love, every change a chance to loosen my grip and find joy again. Joy, not because life is easy, but because I'm no longer fighting, because I'm learning how to flow with the river, how to laugh when the map changes, how to rest in the unknown and still call it good. There is beauty here, in the in-between, in the surrender, in the becoming. I don't need to know what's next to be grateful for what is. I only need to remember that I'm not alone, that grace is real, and that I am allowed to enjoy the ride.
That's very beautiful. And you created that on ChatGPT?
I did. It's kind of fun. Well, I usually write my own, but I said, let me just play with this tonight. And I played with it before the radio show. So
Yeah, well,
a spiritual way to look about what's going to happen.
yeah, and by the way, the radio show just ended, but the nice thing,
Okay.
but the fact we're on Facebook, we're still, this recording will still be here. And yeah, so I just want you to know, yeah, this really is it's a food for thought night and a stimulant kind of for each of us. And I believe, but by the way, and George, I believe this too. I think what Ernie and Janet both said are who really, I mean, who actually understands the infinity of what God is. At least I can't say that I do. But so both of them kind of invoke that side of the coin, which one could say is the ultimate infinite intelligence, right? Or it's not artificial, maybe, but you know what I'm saying. But nobody really knows. But George,
My dogs are saying their own prayer.
yeah, that's what I heard in the background. That was funny. Yeah, I have dogs too. We have dogs in our family. But well, George, I want to say this to you just before I wrap things up then. And what you have shared is really a primer for anybody who wants to get a little understanding of what's going on in the world. So
Yeah.
you got it all in your head there, and you just kind of pour it out, but in a nice, organized, clear way, which is a special gift you've got. And
Thank you.
no, really, I really, it's kind of fun.
You should write a little book about it.
I've written a 444-page book about it.
That's right.
yeah.
Oh, you have? I didn't
Yeah.
know that.
Yes.
Tell them the name
Oh.
of it just for a second.
Yeah, it's called Millennial Samurai,
Yeah.
a mindset for the 21st century.
Oh, okay.
Amazon. It's on Amazon, and
Okay.
it's 182 chapters that are only 1 to 3 pages each. So it's very short chapters for people with short attention spans, right? That don't want to read. You don't need. For example, there are these University of Pennsylvania professors who wrote an 800-page treatise on character. So I have a chapter on character, but it's 3 pages. And the question is, how do you distill 800 pages into 3 pages and create something that has an impact on the person who's reading it, that causes them to understand that character is an essential part of their lives, a critical and essential part of their lives. So that was the labor that I undertook in writing Millennial Samurai, was to try to distill down this information into its most critical components.
It's a beautiful book. I have a copy of it, and and I like
deliver
it.
it in a way the young people would read it.
Yeah, including your own kids, right? I think you told me
Yeah.
that's partly what you were thinking about. And
Yeah.
I've kind of had that same philosophy. I'm writing a book right now. I'm almost finished with it on marriage. And I'm not trying to make it in a treatise. I'm just giving ideas that can help give people a better chance to be successful in their marriages. But anyway, so I want to thank you, George, for taking time out of your busy schedule to be here tonight. And I'm going to be
Sure.
contemplating. You've stimulated my brain here, which is great. I'm so grateful. And then Ernie and Janet, I really appreciate you both of what you shared also. Ernie, I liked your prayer, because
Thank you.
it's kind of like we need God's, for those of us that believe in God, we would like God's help in helping to bring this into reality. Because you're right,
Yes.
George, it could go a lot of different directions.
Yeah.
That's actually
Well,
just simple truth.
thank all of you. And as Janet said, enjoy the ride.
Enjoy the ride.
Enjoy the
I
ride.
like that.
Sign off,
Enjoy the
Scotty.
ride.
We're signing off here, Scotty. Well, I want to say one last thing. Here I am, like somewhere in the mountains of California, and yet I'm on a little piece of fiber that lets us communicate like this. It's kind of
Yeah.
amazing, isn't it?
Yep. It's only going to get more amazing. So leaders don't run from problems, they run at them. So learn to surf the technological tsunami and dance with machines and embrace it. Run towards it, not away from it.
That's a beautiful conclusion. So I'm just going to say, everybody who's listening, I always like to end this way. God is real, miracles are real, and the best is yet to come. And I think a lot of these things you're talking about are going to be miraculous changes.
I think so too.
And
I'm anxious for it. I'm embracing it.
yeah, you should watch.
I'm running towards it.
You should listen to what Elon Musk said this week, because he was talking a lot about some of the same things you're talking about. I actually think, like I said, you kind of have a better ability to kind of pull it together than he does. It's just a little different. But anyway, I wish you all the best. Have a fantastic week, and thank you, Janet and Ernie, and thank you, George. I pray that good things come to your and family, each of our families, and everybody listening, all of your families and loved ones too. So I wish you all the best until we get together again. This is Robert Sidell, wishing you all the best.
Thank you, everyone.
Okay.
Bye. Have a
Bye.
great week.
Good night.
Toodles. Good
Bye-bye.
night.